Hi, I'm Kathleen, and this is me, and I'm a chemical engineer. When people ask me what I do and I say I'm a chemical engineer, I usually get a range of responses like, oh, really? You don't look like an engineer. Bear in mind, I probably more often look like this than the first photo, and maybe there's a bit of stereotyping going on too. Or, wow, that sounds quite intense. But most often people say, oh, what does that actually mean? It's a great question because I didn't really know what it was until I went to study it at university. So here are some definitions of chemical engineering that I found. A chemical engineer develops raw materials into a range of useful products. A career in the field offers you the opportunity to create things such as petrochemicals, medicines, and plastics. Chemical engineering is a branch of engineering that applies to physical sciences, physics and chemistry, life sciences, microbiology and biochemistry, together with applied mathematics and economics to produce, transform, transport, and properly use chemicals, materials, and energy. Basically, most things in the room you're in will have been made by a chemical engineer in one way or another, from the plastic your laptop is made of to the water from your tap. It's also useful to know the difference between chemical engineering and chemistry. Essentially, a chemist might work out how to produce a product like, say, shampoo in a lab. A chemical engineer would then turn this into a mass production plant, looking at how to optimize the reaction, make sure your product is pure, and that you've minimized your waste. And most importantly, ensuring the conditions of the process are controlled such that it's safe for everyone working on the plant and living in the surrounding area. A common misconception is that chemical engineering is mainly chemistry, and I actually find myself doing more work that involves physics. Chemistry obviously does play a role, but also a lot of physics, such as thermodynamics and mechanics. For me personally, I was drawn to chemical engineering because my favourite subjects at school were always maths, physics, and chemistry, and this combined the three. I also liked that it was something that was more vocational and I could easily choose jobs that it could lead me to. For me, and I'm sure some of you, it was very important that if I was going to spend 9 grand a year on university, that I would definitely have a job at the end of it. And apparently that was the case with chemical engineering. It also has one of the highest average graduate salaries of any degree course available, but that's by the by. Don't get me wrong, as far as doing a Chem Eng degree, you also aren't boxed in. It's a really respected qualification and is seen to have a lot of transferable skills. For example, an old course mate of mine is now doing her first year of training to be a solicitor at a large law firm in London. So now that I've explained a bit about what chemical engineering is and why I like it, I'll explain more about my specific career path and some others that are available. So I'm from between Wigan and St Helens, and as I said, my favourite subjects in high school were maths, physics, and chemistry. So it makes sense that for my A levels, I took maths, further maths, physics, and chemistry. This enabled me to do a degree in chemical engineering at the University of Manchester. And this degree also had an integrated year in industry, which means I did a master's in 4 years, and in one of those years, I worked in industry and wrote my dissertation at the same time. This is a bit unusual, and at most universities, a course with a year in industry will be over 5 years. So during my degree, I became more confident that I did ultimately want to actually become a chemical engineer. And not only that, I wanted to design new chemical plants so that I could do some creative problem solving and really put my stamp on a project. This led me to finding out about a company called Sellafield Limited. Spoiler alert, that's where I currently work. So Sellafield is a government-funded organisation that is responsible for the safe and secure clean-up of Britain's nuclear waste. I was drawn to Sellafield for a number of reasons. First of all, they're one of the few companies in the UK that are building new, large-scale chemical processing facilities. Second of all, I would like to consider myself a reasonably environmentally conscious person, and it was important to me to work on something that I felt was overall good for our planet. And as Sellafield's main goal is to safely manage and convert nuclear waste into safer and more environmentally friendly forms, I think that it fulfills this requirement. Finally, as I did more and more research into the work they do, I realised that Sellafield is actually one of the most complex and congested nuclear sites in the world, which means it presents a lot of interesting challenges you would never see anywhere else. When it came to my industrial placement year, I applied to Sellafield and was lucky enough to be accepted. And following on from my industrial placement year, I was offered a graduate role within the company, which I accepted, and I started as a graduate this November just gone. I really enjoyed my placement year and I made a lot of friends within the company, and I've kept in contact with a lot of them. I was given a lot more responsibility on my placement year than you might expect. I managed my own project worth tens of thousands of pounds. This is because at Sellafield they really care about your development and want you to get as much out of the year as possible. They also provided me with the support, both professionally and personally, to be able to take on this challenge. This level of support from the company has continued into my graduate scheme and is providing me a strong path to chartership. Chartership is a professional accreditation that you might need to get certain jobs, and it's a key aspect of the graduate scheme that I'm on. Finally, I want to stress that my career path isn't the only one available to you, both to become a chemical engineer and also to work in the nuclear industry in general. First of all, you definitely don't need 4 A levels to do a chemical engineering degree. 3 will do just fine. And also, when I applied for my degree, there were no apprenticeships available in chemical engineering, but some have become available just recently. So I know that GlaxoSmithKline or GSK now offer a chemical engineering apprenticeship scheme, and so do Chester University in collaboration with Unilever and Cavendish Nuclear. So if university isn't for you, but you still want to do chemical engineering, you can do that. So I hope I've sold some of you on a career in chemical engineering, and if you want to ask me some more questions about the day-to-day work I get up to, or what a career in the nuclear industry is like, please do.